What's going on, Flix Talkers? Welcome back to another movie review. This time for Wonder Woman 1984, WW84, Wonder Woman 2, whatever you want to call it. That's what it was being called online this weekend. It did drop on Christmas Day. That's December 25th, 2020. And a couple of days have marinated to let it sink in. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So enough people could be watching this thing before we talk spoilers. And that's another thing. This is a spoiler talk review, guys. All right, so just be forewarned, I will be talking spoilers, everything WW84, at least to my knowledge, what I remember in the film. I actually saw this twice since it's been streaming on HBO Max, just so I could let it once again marinate and digest a little more into my brain, into my soul, no pun intended. Check out my other soul review that's on the channel as well. But I went in this strictly as a movie watcher. I don't follow the lore 100%, though I did check out the previous film back in 2017, Wonder Woman by Patty Jenkins as well. So this is the creation from Mrs. Jenkins, the second one, and I'm going to let you know what my thoughts were on it as much as I can, guys. Drop some parts that I liked of the movie, some parts that I didn't like of the movie, maybe what could have worked a little better, and did I enjoy this one better than the original? That's kind of what people are putting out there, because there is a lot of mixed reviews this weekend. So I am here to give you my honest review, not only as a superhero fan, but just as an overall movie watcher. But before we do that, make sure you guys are hitting that thumbs up. If you guys do appreciate video reviews like this, spoiler talk, or just any other content I have on the channel, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, as well as hitting that subscribe and a bell notification to always get notified about future upcoming videos. So if you guys weren't aware of the cast already, and the promotion was huge on this $200 million budget project, we have Gal Gadot as Diana, we have Kristen Wiig as Barbara aka Cheetah, we have Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord, and we have Chris Pine coming back as Steve.
Steve the Pirate Scurvy!
No, not ringing any bells.
Now, this film is brought to us by Warner Brothers. It is PG-13 and it has a runtime of 2 hours and 31 minutes. And as I said before, it is directed by Patty Jenkins, who directed the original Wonder Woman back in 2017, as well as the Charlize Theron film Monster, which I absolutely loved. And the quick synopsis for Wonder Woman 1984 is: rewind to the 1980s as Wonder Woman's next big screen adventure finds herself facing two all-new foes, Max Lord and the Cheetah. All right, guys, so all of that said, let's get into my first pro. It was the world building of this 80s. I mean, yes, I was born in the 80s, but I didn't grow up in the 80s, at least old enough to kind of remember, you know, all the clothing, all the tech that was kind of advancing at the time, you know, all the fashion, all of the malls, all of the food courts, all the things that they were watching on TV, all the glitz and glamour. That was pretty much entertainment. It was really, really in the forefront of this movie, kind of pushed into your face, especially when we got our first scene with Diana kind of kicking some ass in our first, I guess, introduction action scene for the film. And I gotta say, that was one of the most lackluster scenes I had seen for any superhero movie introduction, really. I mean, the whole point of an introduction action scene is to kind of pull you in onto what's to come. I was not enthused at all. It seemed really, really zany and goofy, comic booky. Maybe that's what she was trying to go for. At the same vein, someone like me that has no ideas about the comics, this was once again very, very lackluster. My excitement level, I was just kind of there, I was not once again impressed with this $200 million intro scene, at least. Now, that's not to say I did not have fun with the other action scenes sprinkled in, and I will get to that because that is another huge part of my pros, where some of the action scenes that happen later in the movie. So let's talk about this premise. It's pretty much focused around a citrine stone that is encrusted in Latin text, and they're trying to really figure out what this means. Does it obtain kind of powers, even though it is a very cheap stone? But they slowly start to realize, yes, it does. Kristen Wiig's character finds out, yes, it does. And right away, she wants to be like Diana. She's unaware that Diana is Wonder Woman. So unknowingly, she takes her powers, not only her looks, she gets a transformation in the superhero department, which I thought was cool because unbeknownst to her, she was gonna turn into something much more than a sexy, sexy woman on screen in heels. She was about to kick some ass, and I was really excited to see the matchup between Diana and Barbara. Now, besides our antagonist of Kristen Wiig's character, Barbara, later down the line, we also get introduced to Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. And this guy, you know something's up with him from the get-go. He does whatever he can to obtain this citrine stone. I'm not even sure if the stone has a name. Maybe it does in the comic books, but I just remember them saying it was a citrine stone and it wasn't worth much, maybe 75 bucks on the market. So he finds out what it's all about. He used it to his advantage, and at first I really did not like the whole premise of a wishing stone. I thought it was going to be extremely boring and bland and just not exciting for a superhero movie. But as the movie kind of rolled along into the second act, I actually really got intrigued with how this thing could possibly work in a real life situation. He was playing someone of more that wanted to be like a dictator and rule the world. So once again, in a real life setting, I could see something like this happening and someone using it to their gain to manipulate the world, basically. Now, while we're on the subject of Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, I really do enjoy this guy's acting from the movies that I've seen him in. In this one, I won't lie, when we're first introduced to him with the blondish, brownish hair, I was like, oh God, that looks cheesy. But you know what? He really did grow on me, especially once again in halfway through. And then that third act, of course, he really started to become someone that was maniacal, diabolical, so to speak. You know, veins popping out. He had blood kind of protruding through his eyes. All the mannerisms of a psycho. You could tell that this stone, even though he was really just ripping powers from people, because that's what the whole stone premise is. You give someone a wish, but they have to give up something of theirs. And that was kind of the cool flip of the coin, this monkey's paw, so to speak, that they kept referring to. And once again, it did grow on me just like his character did. And the same was to be said from Kristen Wiig when we got introduced to her at the beginning. She played Kristen Wiig. She played a quirky, quick-witted, nerdy scientist. And I was like, she plays this in almost everything, this quirky character all the time. I'm just so glad that when she finally, switched her demeanor to Diana's, that she was able to kind of loosen up a little bit. She got that swagger to her, and I saw her totally being a badass beep. I'll just say that. And I really appreciated that she was able to stretch that acting range a little more and get out of the comedy realm, especially when we got that first fight scene, which is one of the scenes on my list that I wrote down that I really did enjoy, was Diana versus Barbara in the White House. I thought that was an excellent done scene as far as showing the strength once again. I know it was more of one-sided because Diana was losing her powers because, once again, as I said, if she takes her powers, guess what? She's going to start to lose them along the way. Almost imagine kind of Logan just deteriorating. I enjoyed seeing that. I enjoyed seeing Wonder Woman at her most vulnerable. So that part I really, really did like. But then we got the Cheetah transformation, which didn't even need to be done. She was already as powerful as Diana, Wonder Woman. What more did she need? I mean, another couple of hours, she would have been able to fly like Diana. So if she would have just held off, she didn't even need to turn into this alpha predator that she really wanted to be. Though she emphasized, I want to be more than just a person. I thought it was just maybe some slick dialogue kind of thrown in there to amp it up again. I could have done without that. But some people really liked the way Cheetah looked. I thought it was fine. But the final dark scene that we really got at the end, that was once again lackluster. So we got to see Cheetah versus Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman was in that suit that we got that she obtained that was Asteria's, and I'll get into that in a second, which the suit was badass. I will say that the suit was really cool, but the fact of the matter is we only got to see it in such a short duration. I was not pleased. I was not pleased with that whatsoever. So jumping to the rest of the cast, how did they do? Gal Gadot always does fine as possible. I think she's extremely serious in this movie, looking fine as hell. So she's walking around really sexy, and she always has that really like mean scowl, eyebrow arch. I'm like, girl, what are you mad about? Relax, take a day off. And I understand at the beginning of this movie, they kind of made it seem like she was your neighborhood Spider-Man. They had talked about she had done dozens of pretty much saving in the community as far as public service, I will just say. And maybe that is taking a toll on her. I would prefer it if she was not like your neighborhood Superman, or if she did, at least wear a damn mask. I mean, Spider-Man does it. I don't want to compare, the two, but if you're going to be fighting crime, wouldn't it make sense to wear a mask so people don't know who you are? To me, that's completely unbelievable. I know these movies are supposed to be in fantasy land. Come on. Give me a little bit of realism when it comes to that. Now, finally jumping to Chris Pine as Steve. Good Lord. This guy's acting is horrendous. It's like I'm watching a cardboard cutout next to Gal Gadot the whole time. There's no emotion. When they had a love scene, I did not feel anything whatsoever. And not to mention the fact they brought him back reincarnated in someone else's body. That's fine if it follows the lore. It just was not for me. I did not feel it like I felt their chemistry in the first movie. I really did enjoy the first movie, guys. So I think you can see where I'm going with this sequel review. So jumping back to the action scenes, and I know this is going to be all over the place. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just letting my thoughts out. I know I was going to say pros and cons. I'm kind of sprinkling them both in there as I talk throughout. That's completely fine. I just wanted to get this out on the table, guys. So back to the action scenes. I love seeing young Diana giving it all she had on Paradise Island with the Amazonians. I thought that was awesome. Once again, it shows that she can't cheat to get to the top, and I thought that was awesome. There is a lot of wisdom kind of sprinkled in here, and I do appreciate that because I felt like it wasn't too preachy, and I feel like people are going to think that the ending of this movie, how Diana does stop Maxwell Lord, was preachy, but I didn't think so. And that's where I may differ with a lot of people. I thought it was extremely well done. Patty Jenkins did a good job with using the truth of lasso in this situation, in this scene at the end of the film. I thought it was done well. I thought it was really well executed. So I will give her kudos on that. Once again, lackluster. I mean, obviously in a superhero movie, guys, or an anti-hero movie, you want to see whoever the villain is get shot or die, thrown off a bridge or something. In this one, you don't get that. You see him kind of denounce his wish. That's it. And by the way, we don't get to see what happens to Cheetah. She doesn't denounce her wish on that cliff. Once again, go watch it. She does not denounce her wish. And I really wish that she comes back, and she's able to recover from that short ass fight that we got where somehow she survived being electrocuted. Don't ask me. I thought she was dead right there. I thought that's how they were going to kill her off. But then to make matters worse, they saved her. So, okay. That will be the end of my Cheetah talk. And last but not least, my favorite action scene of the movie had to have been in Cairo when she's battling the tanks. I absolutely love that scene. I loved seeing her kind of running, displaying, how fast she can run, her strength. She was able to push, these huge tanks with her feet. She was able to ride a freaking missile, save kids in the melee of everything. I thought it was cool. And by the way, she was weakening over time once again, showing that, she could have been turned into a mere mortal if time would have progressed, if she wouldn't have, caught Maxwell Lord in time. And I thought that was cool. Once again, she's in turmoil. We're seeing superheroes turn more human, and I like to see them in that vulnerable state. I wanted to talk about the two things we're introduced to in this film that we weren't introduced to in the beginning. So the invisibility. So we get to see Diana and Steve riding in a plane, and she's able to pretty much go camouflage. Invisibility powers activate in a couple of seconds. Now, she had mentioned that she only tried this with a cup. Moving kind of fast. I mean, you tried it with the cup and then you upgrade to whatever kind of plane they are. I don't know planes whatsoever, so I'm not going to pretend to, but it was a huge ass plane and they were able to make it go camouflaged. When we saw it, I thought it was cool. I thought it was fine, to add to her abilities. And then we got to see her fly, which visibly looked cool. We got too much, man. We just got too much with no explanations other than a couple of words sprinkled in there by Chris Pine.
It's only wind and air, and how to ride it, how to catch it.
I don't know. I'm not speaking it verbatim, but you guys know that he gave a couple of little lines there for inspiration to kind of pump her up, whatever. And she was able to ride the lightning, literally able to ride the lightning. Once again, it looked cool. She is Wonder Woman. And just as in the first movie, guys, we lose Steve. Did I care? No. He was a disposable character. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Did that hit you emotionally like the last scene in Wonder Woman when he exploded in the plane? For me, it did not. It absolutely did not. Now, the only thing holding the emotions of this sequel film, guys, to me, was Hans Zimmer's score. There has to be a nice balance, obviously, of visuals and the score behind it. And always, he does an amazing, phenomenal job. I cannot complain whatsoever. Though I compared one of the scenes to an Interstellar score, they sounded very, very similar. But once again, that's being nitpicky. It hit me in the same vein. I teared up a little bit when Pedro Pascal was pretty much having a flashback of his abusive childhood, him getting bullied as a kid, leading to Maxwell Lord. That part was a little sentimental to me. It was a little emotional, and I felt it in that scene. Now, all of that being said, before I give you my final score, guys, for Wonder Woman 1984, I got to talk about the post-credit scene. Once again, I'm not the biggest DC guy. Most of you guys know it. But I was extremely excited when I saw Linda Carter on screen as Wonder Woman. If they do not include her in the next one, I know there's talks of maybe not going with Patty Jenkins if Gal Gadot is in return or vice versa. But Linda Carter still looks great. I mean, she was a huge iconic figure, guys. And I think her being implemented into this world, even as a cameo, don't just shimmy her in there as a cameo, bring her into the world. They have to as Asteria. I would love to hear her backstory, even if it's for a quick moment fight scene in part 3. I'm excited for that. So I thought it was a good cliffhanger, and I thought they did the fans justice by including her. Now, I know I spoke negatively, or what seemed to be negative. I was very, very nitpicky in, once again, a lore that I'm not 100% versed in. And I think that's fine. I'm over here looking at it as a whole. All of that being said, guys, I give Wonder Woman 1984 a solid 3 out of 5. I know. The way I was talking, you guys probably thought it was going to be a 1 or a 2 out of 5. Nope. I give this a 3 out of 5. Giving the original maybe a little bit of the advantage. I thought the pacing, I thought the time era in that held my interest maybe just a little more. I liked seeing a lot of the war scenes and her integral parts in the war scenes, especially with that bunch of guys that we got. I thought it was cool, the army brats. So seeing all of that, I got to give more of the edge to the original, probably giving it a 3.5. But does this movie have sequelitis to me? Yeah. It kind of went back a grade, just a notch. Do I think this is the end of Wonder Woman? No. Do I think this is the end of Patty Jenkins? No. Do I think this was overhyped? Yes. Definitely overhyped. But once again, it was a fine one and done watch, even though I did watch it twice to kind of take notes and let it marinate once again, like I said, so I can give you guys my honest thoughts, because as a movie reviewer, that's what I want to do. There's no bias here whatsoever, even though I do love Marvel. I prefer Marvel characters. I prefer Marvel movies. That's totally fine. I'm judging this based on what I saw in the 2 hours and 31 minutes. All right, guys. And that's another thing. Way too lengthy. Cut it down to about 2 hours, buddy. I know a lot of people hate when I say trim things down. This movie could have definitely been trimmed down. I was so bored at the 45-minute hour mark. It was dry as hell, lackluster. Once again, I cannot say that enough times, all right? So that's my review for Wonder Woman 1984, my spoiler review, guys. Let me know your favorite moments or your most hated moments down in the comments below. Did it hold up? Was it a better movie than the original? Let me know, guys, down in the comments below. And if you guys did appreciate my video and just the content that I have on this page, I would appreciate it if you guys do give me a thumbs up before you leave, and make sure to hit that subscribe and bell notification for more content like this. All right, guys, till next review, I'm gone. Peace.